put your hand over your eyes. I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
And now over your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
Now if you just put your hand over your heart and extend out your arms, I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
Today's spiritual truth, spiritual wisdom comes from the book of Ecclesiastes. It's the sacred text of both Judaism and Christianity. I always love it when I pull out a Bible here in a religious science church. Everybody kind of squirms around and gets a little nervous. But I love this passage. It comes from chapter 9, verse 7. Come now, eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God is pleased in your works. Come now, eat your bread with joy and drink your beverage with a merry heart. I say beverage because some of us shouldn't be drinking any wine. With a merry heart, for God is pleased in your works. There are a lot of reasons on a lot of levels that I love that particular passage, but today I'm talking about happiness. And it's a good passage to remind us of the call to being happy when we do those activities of daily living, all of the activities of daily living, eating and drinking and moving around in our lives. That we do it with joy in our heart and gladness and being happy in our life. See, happiness is a tipping point in life, in our life. It can take us from failure to success. It can take us from failure to success in our self-confidence. It can take us from failure to success in our relationships. It can take us from failure to success in our careers, in our goals. Drink the sweet nectar of life and be happy. Have joy in your heart, for God has already approved of what you do, of who you are in this life. And if we just got that part, if God already approved of us, perhaps not some of the mistakes that we made, although God really approved of everything, because those mistakes got us where we are today. God approves of us whether we're gay or straight or what color we are, or whether we're one gender or another gender, or whether we mix our genders up in the middle of our life. God approves of us no matter what's going on and calls us to have love and joy in our hearts. See, sometimes we labor under a false notion that we have to do something, that we have to earn happiness. We don't have to earn happiness. It's already installed inside of us. We have to let loose with it. We have to let it out in our life. See, we have to get rid of this idea that it's an event, that some event is going to cause us to be happy. Our wedding is going to cause us to be happy, or a job is going to cause us to be happy, or losing 20 pounds is going to cause us to be happy. We have to let go of those things and begin to understand that happiness is an inside job. It comes from inside of us, from within us. We have to work at it. We have to work at that. Because so often we have thought that our beloved made us happy, or somebody else made us happy. We have to begin to understand the words of Jesus in Luke, when he said the kingdom of God is within you. All your happiness is within you. The kingdom of God that holds the happiness is within each one of us. Well, I'm borrowing for today's talk some wisdom from a book that I actually bought for myself. I realized that as I've gotten older, I'm less anxious to take risks in my life. And I don't like that about myself. I know that success comes to those people who are willing to take risks in their lives. I've experienced it myself. You've experienced it yourself. You've taken a risk, and something great happened as a result of it that would not have happened had you not been willing to take risks. And I know that taking risks is a behavior that you have to cultivate. You have to really cultivate that idea. So I bought this book for myself and for a friend of mine who's starting a new job, called Fail Fast and Fail Often. And the purpose of me reading this book was for myself. It really wasn't for you until I read the book. And then I decided, oh, well, here, I need to share some stuff with you about this book. in this book, well, let me just tell you what the author says. It's a great concept. What does your fun meter say? Suppose that one day you found out that your great uncle Elmore had just died. You hardly knew your uncle, but from what you have heard from your family, he was a peculiar fellow. The handful of encounters you had with him were as a child, when you experienced his unpleasant habit of saying hello and pulling on your ears saying Shazam. So you are somewhat surprised to receive a letter from your great uncle's estate attorney requesting that you attend the reading of the will. You arrive at a stuffy legal office with a room filled with strangers. As the reading of the will begins, you are surprised to find out that your great uncle Elmore was quite wealthy. You are even more shocked to hear that you had been left $100 million, albeit with some peculiar stipulations. Your great uncle was a crazy inventor, and his proudest accomplishment was the creation of a wrist-worn gadget he called the fun meter. It records a measure of the degree of enjoyment you are experiencing, how enthusiastic, vital, curious, and appreciative you are feeling. It rates enjoyment on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being down in the dumps and 10 being as happy as you can be. The stipulation of your uncle's will are the following. You will wear the fun meter at all times. Each day, the fun meter will take the highest enjoyment reading for the day and wirelessly transmit it to the estate attorney's office. If the reading never falls before a value of 7 or over in the course of the next year, you will receive the $100 million. But if on any day of the high for that day falls below 7, then you will receive nothing. Let's say you decide to take the challenge on wearing the funometer. Right away, you are going to have to live a life like it really matters. You can't let a single day pass without finding time to have at least a few moments of an alterated joy. So here's the question. What action will you take on that first day? See, what a great challenge. Never mind the fact that you would get $100 million, but scientists now tell us that people who are happy have a 50% more likelihood of having a fresh, creative idea that will yield results. Let me just say that again. Scientists now say that people who are happy have a 50% greater option of having a creative idea that will yield results. That's enough of a reason to get up every day and ask ourselves how happy we can be. See, a lot of us delay our happiness, our fun, because we're immersed in this idea of not yet. Not yet. And I get that too. I think a lot of us get that whole idea. I'll be ready for happiness when the economy is improved. I'll be ready for happiness when I feel more inspired. I'll be happier when I save more money. I'll be happier when the kids go off to college. I'll be happier when I retire. I will be happier when the house is clean. I'll be happier when I have forgiven that person or they have forgiven me. I'll be happier when I'm absolutely certain things will go my way. And there are so many more ways that we delay our happiness. See, our job is to stop trying to fix our problems and begin to shift that focus from our problems on to happiness. Now, that is not an excuse for us not to deal with issues in our lives. If you're having an addiction issue, we want you to deal with it. We don't want you to stop dealing with it. If you have a debting problem, we want you to deal with it. We don't want you to stop dealing with it. But for most of the problems in our lives, we need to stop worrying about them, stop constantly harping on them, and move into a state of being happy. Now, when I started reading this, I thought, well, you can't force people to be happy. And it's true, you can't force somebody to be happy. And there are times in our life, there are seasons, there are moments, there are days when we're not going to be happy. Maybe we lost somebody. Maybe we got fired. Maybe another calamity happened to us, and we're not going to be happy right then. But those are seasonal. Those stop. Our job is to, after that season, begin to cultivate an attitude of happiness, and we can do that. There are things that we can absolutely do that to stop this whole not yet kind of concept that make us not accept the gifts of happiness. See, like everything else in our life, we don't have to create happiness. It's instilled in us. It was given to us when we came to the planet. Our job is to recognize it, to enliven it, to get it back into ourselves. See, and when we lose the incentive to do that, to explore, we have to get it back for ourselves. Because when you're a young kid, when you're a little kid, there's just happiness and curiosity that just find you everywhere. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that, oh no, that's for later. I'm going to tell you that later about Eleanor Roosevelt. When we're happy, when we're absolutely happy, we get another benefit, a gift of God, and that's called curiosity. That's the second thing. That's the bedrock of learning how to take risks. The first bedrock is to develop a sense of happiness, cultivate happiness in our lives. Now, in your bulletin, I have prepared for you a list of questions you can ask yourself tonight and every night this week before you come back. You can make a few notes on them or not. You just answer them in your head. Notes are always better. Journaling is always better. But if you will take those questions and begin to ask yourself what the answers are for you, I promise you, you will begin the process of cultivating happiness in your life. Why? Because you're 50% more likely to be a successful person in this world. And who doesn't want to be happy? What if it were as easy as cultivating happiness? What if it were as easy as recognizing, not in the seasons of your defeat, we want you to grieve in the seasons of your defeat, but when that's over, don't drag it with you for the rest of your life. People are dragging stuff with them 15 years ago that happened, and they're still dragging it around, making themselves sad. What if you shifted that and began to work just as hard at being happy? Instead of calling your posse with all of the things that you're unhappy about, what if you for a week told your posse, I'm going to call you just with the things I'm happy about, so be prepared. I tell you, you would your friends might say, whoa, but you would uplift your life. It would be a whole different life in your life. The other thing that happiness does in your life is it allows you one of the greatest gifts of all time, which is curiosity. And that's the second bedrock. Happiness and curiosity are bedrocks to this idea of being willing to take the risks you need in your life to be successful. See, when I first started this church, I didn't know a soul here. I had a very comfortable job in Santa Rosa. I was happy. But there was something that was calling me. And I had just heard a talk by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, who said this: you can either be pulled by a vision or pushed by a circumstance. I didn't want to be pushed by a circumstance. I wanted to be pulled by a vision. But that took risks. You're going to have to take risks in your life. And the other thing is curiosity. It's one of God's greatest gifts. Eleanor Roosevelt said that when a mother is ready to deliver her baby, if she were to ask a fairy godmother what the greatest gift she could give that baby might be, it would be the gift of curiosity. The gift of curiosity. The most useful gift you can give a child is curiosity. And most of us are endowed with that when we come to the planet, when we're little kids. We're eager to try new things. We fiddle with things. We poke with things. We break things. We're curious about things. We want to take them apart. We want to ask all kinds of questions. We want to experiment with them in our lives. When we're kids, we're curious, not because we think we're going to get something. We're just curious. about them in our life. I've read this story many times, but it doesn't hurt all of us to hear it again. It's a great example of this idea of children are curious and we lose it. We lose this curiosity. This is Robert Fulghum in a book he wrote called Uh-Oh. Over the last couple of years, I've been a frequent guest in schools, most often invited by kindergartens and colleges. The environments differ only in scale. In the beginner's classroom and on the university campuses, the same opportunities and facilities exist. Tools for reading and writing are there, words and numbers, areas devoted to scientific experiment, labs and work boxes, and those things necessary for the arts, paint, music, costumes, room to dance, likewise present and available. In kindergarten, however, the resources are in one room with access for all. In college, the resources are in separate buildings with limited availability. But the most apparent difference is in the self-image of the students. Ask a kindergarten class, how many of you can draw? All hands shoot up. Yes, of course we can draw, all of us. What can you draw? Anything. How about a dog eating a fire truck in a jungle? Sure. How big do you want it? How many of you can sing? All hands. Of course we can sing. What can you sing? Anything. What if you don't know the words? No problem. We make them up. Let's sing. Now? Why not? How many of you dance? Unanimous again. What kind of music do you dance to? Any kind? Let's dance. Now? Sure, why not? Do you like to act in plays? Yes. Do you play musical instruments? Yes. Do you write poetry? Yes. Can you read and write, count? Yes. We're learning that stuff now. Their answer is yes, over and over again. Yes, the children are confident in spirit, infinite in resources, and eager to learn. Everything is still possible. Try those same questions on a college audience. A small percentage of the students will raise their hands when asked if they can dance or draw or sing or paint or act or play an instrument. Not infrequently, those who do raise their hand will want to qualify their response with the limitations. I only play the piano. I only draw horses. I only dance to rock and roll. I only sing in the shower. When asked by the limitations, college students answer they do not have the talent, are not majoring in the subject, or do not have done any of those things since the 3rd grade. Or worse, they are embarrassed for others to see them sing or dance or act. You can imagine the response to the same questions asked of older audience. The answer, no, none of the above. What went wrong between kindergarten and college? What happened to the yes, of course I can? What happened is that we lost our curiosity. We lost that natural curiosity that we came to in this life. Albert Einstein says that it is a miracle that creativity survived formal education. And I believe that that is true. Because here's what eventually kids discover that it's more important to be smart than to learn something. It's more important to never make a mistake and to look like they have all the answers than to make a mistake in this lifetime. And we have learned that too well. Sometimes well-meaning parents discourage the pursuit of subjects like art and music because there's no pot of gold at the end of those subjects. There's no future payoff. We all do some sort of cost-reward analysis when we go to be curious in our life, and we tend to squash our enthusiasm. See, you will lose the incentive to try and explore if you must find a cost benefit to everything. We have to stop doing that. We have to just be curious and explore things for the purpose of exploring things. One reason innovative people make strides is because they follow their curiosity. They follow their curiosity, and they allow themselves to be exposed to new people, new places, new things in this life. See, our curiosity is built on the mechanism that we need to discover new possibilities. Like when something catches your eye, follow it. Now, I don't mean that you shouldn't have a goal and stay on your goal, and this shiny thing over here and that shiny thing over there catches your eye and just go on. But when something pulls you, something inexplicably pulls you in a direction and you don't know why, don't stop yourself. Follow it. See what it says in your life. Now, because people are so often talked out of their curiosity, or we talk ourselves out of being curious, the authors of this book, and I'm going to go more into this book when I get back in 2 weeks, and really look at the benefits of failing fast and failing often. But one of the reasons, or the main reason that we sort of talk ourselves out of curiosity is because we've been doing it for so long. So the authors of this book have 5 considerations they would like you to ponder. These are not solutions. These are 5 considerations they would like you to ponder to improve your curiosity quotient in this life. And the first one is that curiosity keeps you aware of the present moment. Curiosity keeps you aware of the present moment. It's kind of like curiosity has its own intelligence. And that intelligence needs to be fed. And when you're in the present moment and you get curious, you feel that intelligence. The second one is that curiosity has an expiration date. And what they mean by that is that when you're curious, it's often you're in a situation and it becomes situational. So for instance, you go to a party or you go to someplace, a meeting or someplace, and you're just drawn to somebody and you don't know why. But you're kind of curious about that person. Follow that. Follow that. Sometimes it's a path that you're out hiking and there's a path and you want to go down the path. Follow that path. You don't know why. You're just drawn to it. Now, metaphysically speaking, we know that there is an intuition that is just connected to God, connected to divine intelligence. And that's partially what this curiosity is. And when we follow it, we can begin to move in that direction of understanding. Maybe it's going to an art gallery. Maybe it's picking up a gadget and just working with that gadget. And it doesn't make sense because you have stuff to do, but you're called to this gadget and you just want to work with it. Follow your curiosity. There are hundreds. I could tell you the story of hundreds of innovators who did not expect to create the thing they created, to invent the thing they created. They invented something totally different. On their way to that invention, they found something completely different because they were curious about some aspect of it in your life. Remember, people who are happy and curious, 50% more successful in their life. If you adopt a wait and see, I'll wait and see, I'm not going to do it now, that situation may change. That person may be gone. That opportunity may go away. So take advantage of your curiosity when it's peaked in your life. The third one is that curiosity provides an energy. And you've all felt that energy. You felt it when you were curious with something, you became more enlivened. And you felt that energy. Curiosity provides energy. The fourth one is curiosity helps you learn more quickly than a lecture would. Curiosity will help you because you're exploring it. You're trying to figure it out yourself. Helps you learn more quickly. And the fifth one is curiosity gets things moving. If you're stuck, begin to work with your curiosity and see if it can't move you along in your life. We are very fortunate in this country to be able to live in a time when the internet is here. And the reason is because if you are curious about salsa dancing, you just Google in salsa dancing. And there are tons of videos about that. There's directions, put this foot there, all kinds of stuff that will help. You want to learn how to French cook? Type in French cook in the Google, and it'll come out and it'll tell you how to cook in French. Not in French, but well, it might do that too. I don't know. I've never done it. You want to travel to a country and you don't have the means right now. You don't have the ability, the time to travel to that country, but you're kind of curious about what they do in that country. Pursue that curiosity. You don't know what it's going to stimulate in your brain or in your heart. It's going to create something that will make the world a better place for everybody. These two things, curiosity and happiness, small steps that can really help in making this a better place on the planet. Now, like I say, next week, Reverend Gautreau is going to be here. How do you pronounce that? Gautreau is going to be here. And she is going to talk about your shadow, treasures of the shadowland. And all of us have shadow stuff inside of us. And most of us feel like we've dealt with most of our shadow stuff. And then all of a sudden we're walking down the street and you become enraged because, somebody walks by and you don't know why. It's because it's still in there. So she's going to invite us to know new ways to bring that shadow up and ways to deal with it. So I hope you'll be here. Don't not come to church because I'm not here. I want to see. I'm going to take attendance. And then when I come back, I'm going to really delve into this idea of fail fast, fail often. Because I think it's a key to our success. It's a key to us moving in a forward direction. So I hope you'll be here for that too. Let's take this message into prayer, knowing there's only one power. It's the power of love that flows through us and shines on everybody. And so I simply let it go through me, knowing that all this trouble in the political world could be solved by greater love. All the trouble in the global world could be solved by love. And so the best thing I can do is to think of any hot spot with love in my heart. I give thanks for this. I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.